Can you have a healthy relationship without intimacy? Well, that depends on how you're defining a relationship. I can have a good business relationship with a customer and have virtually no intimacy. It's transactional. However, for a meaningful relationship that is more than transactional, intimacy must be present in some way. 1, emotionally; 2, mentally; 3, spiritually; 4, and the last one, the one the guys think of most, physically, right? It's crucial. Without it, there is no significant connection. This is a transactional relationship. So if you want to take it beyond that, intimacy is essential in some levels. So what does intimacy mean? I'm going to leave the description of physical intimacy for the last because me and most men, we think of that first, and it's really, really easy for us. But the other ones, these are the ones that I failed to deliver on in my past failed relationships, and this is how they hurt me. Hopefully you can learn from my mistakes and do better on your own. So the first one, emotional intimacy. What does that mean? What does that look like? Well, this can be very scary for us as men particularly. We have grown up in a culture that has vilified men that show emotion. A man typically that is showing that he is able to cry, fearful, feeling anxious, feeling overwhelmed, all of these things, we have typically said, that's not a leader, that's not a man, he's pathetic. We put those people down, we shame them. And so men have withdrawn from the emotional expression of their lives in order to be men. This can be very hard for us. And for women who have faced trauma and abuse, this can be very hard for you to trust your emotions, to be able to express emotions that maybe you have been brought up to believe are not appropriate. These typically are emotions that are what we call lower vibrational emotions: anger, fear, sadness, loneliness, despair. These are emotions that many of us consider inappropriate. They make us uncomfortable. We don't want to feel that. We don't want to see it. Keep it away from me. If you're in a space or with somebody that can't accept that from you, you cannot develop emotional intimacy. If you are personally too afraid to show those types of emotions, you're not in touch with it, you are incapable of offering the intimacy required for a deep emotional connection. You'll need help. Get through it. I know I did, and I struggled for years. I could show certain emotions, but I was very, very hesitant to say, I'm depressed. I'm really, really struggling. I don't know what to do next. These were feelings and fears that I could not allow myself to show because, well, I was a child of trauma and I didn't believe I was allowed to show that type of stuff. I had to learn it through therapy. Second step is mental intimacy. What does that mean? How is that different from emotional? Well, mental stuff is the thoughts running through your mind. Are you able to express the free flow of your thoughts, those crazy things that come into your head that you think that are so inappropriate? And you can tell this person and they still look at you with love in their eyes? If you don't have that opportunity, if you don't have the ability to let your guard down and let them hear the craziness going on in your brain and feel secure, you don't have this level of intimacy. It is something that's worth having. You need to be able to, just like you do when you meditate, sit upon the traffic of your mind and see all that comes and goes without any measure of shame or feeling that you might show up as less than because you have a dirty thought or a bad thought or a violent thought or a fearful thought or a grotesque thought. Whatever that thought is, we all have them. But some of us pretend we don't because we don't feel we have the intimacy or the security to share that with the person we're with. I struggled with this in my relationship. I used to wake up, I struggle, and I still do, with night terror, like really terrifying dreams. And it's a result of my abuse as a kid. And I smoke medical marijuana to sleep at night because without it, I never sleep through the night. I start having fits of terrors and I'm waking up all the time. As soon as I drop into a dream state, I pull out of it. And then I'm exhausted walking around all day. And I would often wake up with these just gripping, compelling, violent dreams. And I would share them with my family, my sisters, my brother, my friends. They were fascinating stories. I've in fact wrote short stories based on some of my crazy dreams. My ex would not listen to my dreams. They were too mentally disturbing for her. She said that they were terrifying and they ruined her day to hear what was going on in my mind. And much of what I had to say, she didn't feel capable to hear or listen to because she would ruminate, she said, on the grotesqueness of what was going on within me. I quit sharing. I quit sharing thoughts that were disturbing for her. I quit expressing who I was. I shut all that down, and we had no mental intimacy. I could hear her stuff because her stuff didn't touch what my crazy thoughts were, but she could not hear mine. If you're in a situation where you are not getting that met, that may be a relationship with somebody that's just only intimate in one space. That's fine. I have friends that are only that. But if your closest, most intimate relationship with the person that is supposed to be closest to you, you got to have all of these. The third, spiritual. Spiritual intimacy requires you to be able to express your beliefs on whatever it is you believe and be seen and supported. I went on a mission for my church when I was a 19-year-old boy, and I was in Japan, and I had the opportunity to teach a Buddhist monk. This guy was cool. He had the shaved head, and he wore the robes, and he would meet with us, and he was so engaged and so interested as I was describing to him my belief system that I wanted to share with him because I was on a mission. And every time he'd be so engaged, asking great questions, having insightful thoughts. And so then I'd say, hey, you want to join our church? Because he seemed so perfect. And he would laugh and he would say, oh, no, this is your path. It's a really good path for you. I have my own path to the top of the mountain. And I found it so unbelievably compelling that he could stand there with me and offer me not only encouragement for my belief, but support for my belief. I could feel it coming from him with no disdain at all when he would say, I have my own path. He didn't see his own path as superior to mine. He just saw it as his path. And that intimacy that we had in being able to respect and see each other was profound. It stayed with me my whole life and got me deeply interested in Buddhism for his ability to approach me with an unbiased, open curiosity. That is spiritual intimacy, that you can meet this person, whatever their beliefs are, they won't match yours perfectly, and accept them and see that their path is their path and yours is yours. The fourth is physical. Physical intimacy can be represented in many ways, from a simple holding of a hand, a brush on the neck, a hug, a kiss, sex, all kinds of different kinds of sex, right? There's lots of ways that we can be physically intimate. We can be playful. We can be tickling. We can fight, playfully fight, stuff like that. All of these things, whatever that physical makeup of yourself, if you feel reserved physically, you feel like you can't reach out and touch your spouse without being in trouble, you can't do certain things, you cannot become intimate. There's too many restrictions. If you have desires that you express sexually that are met with disdain and disgust, this is going to shut down your physical intimacy. You don't have to do everything your partner wants you to do in a physical space, but you must acknowledge that they have desires, needs, ideas, fantasies that maybe don't fit within your world. The discussion of them will not harm you. The consideration of them will not harm you. The rejection of all that you don't agree with will destroy your relationship. It negates the ability for this person to now intimately connect with you on what they feel and what drives them. So intimacy is essential to building a healthy relationship. Absolutely. If you want this person to be close to you. Now, if you're back to like, is it important for a relationship? Hell, I got great relationships with lots of customers or people that I interact with that are friendly, engaging, and mean virtually nothing. There is no intimacy. It's just a transactional, happy, kind of superficial level. All of my friends that I consider friends have some measure of intimacy, one of these categories, or, in some way, all of them, right? I have friends, my buddies, my physical intimacy with them is hiking. We go to the gym. These things that I do, we test ourselves against each other on the basketball court or whatever. That's a sort of physical intimacy. My close friends, I have all of these four at some measure with. And I would suggest that you evaluate your relationships and see those people that allow you to feel safe to express yourself completely in all these categories. If you do, you'll find the depth of your relationship is profound if you have it. And you will find that the weakness of your relationship is highlighted in one of these categories if you don't have it. And it's something to consider and talk about and either change the nature or the closeness of that relationship, end it, or fix it, make it better. All of these are options for you. If this is something you're working with, I hope these things help. I would love to hear what you have done to create intimacy or to separate from yourself from those that aren't willing to offer that. And stick around because I got a video on how to overcome the fear of dating after divorce. This may be something that's coming for you if you don't have any of these categories of intimacy in your relationship. I'm James Burnham. Like, subscribe, follow. Thanks for joining me.